Hello and welcome to the Pillow Talks podcast. We're your hosts, Vanessa
and Xander Marin.
I'm a sex therapist with over 20 years of experience.
And I'm just a regular dude. We share the ups and downs in our relationship while giving you step-by-step techniques for improving yours.
Make sure you subscribe for your weekly double date full of totally doable sex tips, practical relationship advice, hilarious and honest stories of what really goes on behind closed bedroom doors, and so much more. It's the sex education you wish you'd had. We're coming at you today with a brand new setup.
We are, but you might not be able to tell.
Well, I mean, you can't tell if you're listening.
You can't.
We are in some very comfortable chairs right now.
We are. We're
Not
in the
at a
same
desk.
room. We're in the
Same
same room. Our desk that we usually record from is right over here. It's not looking nearly as comfortable.
No, our chairs were like pretty uncomfortable, honestly.
Speak for yourself. I have a nice...
You have a nice one. I have a
nice
little
Herman Miller
kneeling one that I don't really need anymore. But yeah, now we are in like nice cushy chairs that took us about a year to order and have arrive.
They did. They're here.
We've got a new little mic set up. So, you know, this might just be a whole new vibe. I'm feeling a different vibe.
Yeah?
Like I'm vibing over here in my cushy chair. My feet don't touch the ground, but that's okay. I've got my Maggie dog right next to me.
And if you're wondering, when she says her feet doesn't touch the ground, it's not like close.
Oh no,
it's
they're
about 8
very
inches.
Far.
8 inches away from touching the ground.
These are
I'd say.
Deep chairs, to be fair. Like your feet are barely touching the ground.
Yeah, you're all the way in the back. If you scooted forward, you might have a chance. But also, who knows? You might never see it. But we're also recording some video as well. Maybe, you know, we'll have a little snippet of the podcast on Instagram, on YouTube. Who knows? Definitely not this entire podcast will be released in video, but we might even have some fun little snippets for you.
So we're excited about our new setup, but in this episode, we are actually taking you back to an old setup. You like that?
Wow, that's good.
Really lame. So back in episode 36, we did a whole episode around the question, can we come back from this? We asked our Instagram audience, has your partner ever said or done something hurtful that made you feel unsure you'd ever be able to recover? And at the time, 60% of people said yes. 60%. That's wild. Were worried that they wouldn't be able to come back from something. So way back in episode 36, we knew we have to do a part 2 to this. It took us a while to get back there, but we're doing it. So once again, we put a call out on Instagram. We said, tell us some situation that you're in that you're worrying. Can we come back from this? And we are going to give you our best advice. So we have picked some doozies.
We have.
There were some really, really interesting answers that came through. So here's what we did. We decided together which ones we were going to talk about in this episode, but we did not talk about our responses to these.
We didn't.
You're going to hear us kind of live respond.
Yeah, we'll see if we agree.
Maybe we won't.
We might disagree.
I mean, then we might not be able to come back from it.
I know, it might turn into a can we come back from disagreeing about one random person's issue on our podcast.
Hopefully, a high stakes episode.
Hopefully we can. It would have to be a real big disagreement, I think. But before we come back from anything, we are going to come back to the thing that we do every single episode, which is review of the week. Thank you for making things normal. Hi, I've been wanting to leave a review and let you know that you've helped my relationship. A while ago, my husband came to me saying he had been interested in exploring more anal or prostate play. I grew up with 80s rom-coms and at no point was there mention of any of this in Pretty in Pink. After getting your guides, listening to your podcast, and reading Sex Talks, I felt ready to talk about what I would and wouldn't like to do. And then I did a thing, rented a hotel room for us to have a date night.
Oh.
Side note, why are there not hotel rooms you can rent by the hour for married couples wanting to get away from their kids for an evening? Sorry, this is Xander interjecting here. There are in Japan. This is like a big thing. Love hotels.
Yes.
This is not a thing.
Someone's got to bring it to the U.S.
This is not a thing in this country. I don't know if really love hotels exist anywhere other than Japan. I've never heard of that being a thing in other countries, but this is like a very like kind of notorious thing in Japan. Anywho, I felt ready and honestly pretty powerful. All of this is thanks to you normalizing exploration and finding things that bring us pleasure. Keep fighting the good fight and helping all of us be a little more ourselves.
Thank you so much for this review. It's a delightful review. Love the hotel adventure that you two had. And reviews really do go such a long way in helping the podcast grow. The more reviews we have, the more likely new people are to be served our podcast. Like when they're looking for podcasts, the more likely they are to listen. Like it really is a big deal. So we do this giveaway every week as our way of saying thank you. If you hear your review read, you can email us at info@vmtherapy.com and you will get to choose from a series of our masterclasses. You'll get to pick one absolutely for free. It's just our way of saying thank you for taking the time to leave a review.
You can also subscribe or follow. It depends which provider you're using. They call it different things, but follow, subscribe to the podcast. That helps us so much as well. And the benefit to that is that whenever we release a new episode, it's ready for you to listen to. It gives you just a little notification, a reminder, hey, Vanessa and Xander have a new podcast for you.
Never miss a new episode. Oh, thanks.
It makes that noise too. No, it doesn't really.
All right, let's get into our scenarios. Can these couples come back from this? I will read the first one. Husband told me he misses his ex and former life. He can't move past it. It comes up a lot. All right, Xander, what's your hot take?
Oh boy. This is tough. I have an argument for both sides, but
you do.
So look, the way that it's written, it feels pretty much like you're not really going to come back from this. This guy clearly believes this. He says it. He says it multiple times. It's like, it's not even like, oh, I just miss my ex. It's like, I miss my ex. I miss my old life. Like, I want to go back. Mm-hmm. And it's not like an isolated incident. Like, oh, I said this one stupid thing one time, and upon reflection, I don't really like believe it anymore, or I didn't really mean it or whatever. That's not what I'm reading in here. Mm-hmm. So, if it's genuinely like, this is really how he feels, and he's kind of he is unapologetic about it. Like, yeah, I'd say that's a huge red flag. The only thing that I want to say is like, I'm curious if the person who sent this in, have they shared with their partner what it feels like for them to hear that? Like the only thing I can think of is that if this is just like, I don't know, like some really emotionally unaware dude who's like, oh, I didn't realize that was hurtful. Like I thought I was just being honest, but
no, you're really giving.
I'm really trying to throw this guy a bone.
No, to me, this is a deal breaker because of the repetition of it. If it was like one time they were having a fight, or he got drunk, or like something made him like really nostalgic, and he just like blurted out something like, "Oh, I miss my ex," or "Oh, my life used to be so different." Like one time,
or like I miss certain things about my old life. Like I think that's different.
Well, if it was one time, and if he had a really great like explanation for it, an apology for it, like maybe I could see getting past it. But this is multiple times, and the person is literally writing like he can't move past it, and it comes up a lot. So it's like it's happening multiple times. I don't know if he's directly saying he can't move past it. Like to me, the answer's right there. No, you can't move past this.
I just really want to know what he's thinking.
I do too.
I just want to know, like, dude, like why are you saying this? All you're doing is hurting your partner. If this is really how you feel, like break up, leave, like go, like go back
what
to
are you
your
trying
old
to
life or
achieve
recreate.
with this?
Yeah. What is it that you're trying to achieve other than cruelty?
And you know what? That was a good reminder to me that we forgot to give a little disclaimer at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
That, like, obviously, we are given our hot takes on like 3 sentences that we're getting off of Instagram.
We're
like,
literally armchair experts right here in our little armchairs.
Of course, we do not know the whole story. We don't know the other person's side of the story. We don't know these people. Like, these are just hot takes. Human beings are way more complex than hot takes, but that's just what this episode is, a hot take.
All right, well, next up, another hot take. My husband told me that having kids ruined my vagina, blamed it on me not having a C-section. All right, go off, Vanessa.
This one, when I saw it, I died. I cannot fathom telling your partner who spent months giving up her body to bear your child, a joint decision that you guys just, made together. Like,
Oh, children. It's plural here.
oh, children. She
Yeah.
did it multiple times.
Not just once.
I cannot fathom feeling anything towards her other than extreme gratitude. Like, the gall and the cruelty that it takes to tell there's so many parts of it. To tell your partner their vagina is bad, like, that's unbelievably cruel. Not something that I would ever come back from. Like, if somebody told me,
how would you like it if she's like, your
penis is terrible.
Yeah, your penis. You know what? I woke up this morning and actually I hate your penis.
Yeah. Oh, like, if you ever told me anything about, like, that my vagina was bad, I'd be like, then you don't get to play with it ever again. Sorry, goodbye. So that's bad in and of itself. And then he adds a layer of bad by saying, like, the kids ruined your vagina, which, again, like, she was the only one who could carry their children for them. She did him a huge solid doing that. And then 3, like, you should have had a C-section, a major surgery that it sounds like if she had vaginal birth, she didn't need to have a C-section. So, like, why would she put herself through an incredible surgery just to keep her vagina good for him? I'm dead.
Yeah.
No. This is a hard no. I don't think you can come back from something like that. And it's not just like the act of saying it. It's like the cruelty, the lack of care, the disrespect, the attitude behind this. That I'm like, why do you want to have a partner who thinks of you in that way, who treats you that way? Like, that's awful.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Xander's like acting like you're a little nervous over here.
I hurt as a man just seeing other men behave like this.
It's really bad. It's
really disheartening.
I mean, you were trying to throw the original husband a bone. There are no bones to throw to this man. Like, there is nothing. We are all about, like, hey, communication is hard, and sometimes we screw up and we say things that they just come out in so the wrong way. And we have both been guilty of, like, saying things that just came out really the wrong way. But, like, I can't think of any sort of good intent behind this, that it was like, oh God, I just really messed up the communication there. Like, no, you're just a cruel, cruel person. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, with this one, like, what if it was like,
oh, Xander's trying.
What if it was like a drunken comment that he made it one time, and what we're not seeing here is that, like, let's say he wakes up the next morning and he's like, oh shit. Is there a way back from that?
I mean, look, so this is where it gets complicated. Obviously, it's like they're married, they have kids. The idea of ending a relationship over one comment, like, I get it. That's really freaking hard. But again, for me, it's just like, it's the level of disrespect and cruelty behind this. Like, if we're really stretching ourselves, maybe if he was, like, super drunk and he thought he was, like, and not that being drunk excuses you from being an asshole, but, like, maybe if he, like, thought that he was being jokey and, like, I don't know. That's stretching it too far for me. Yeah, I don't think I can get there.
I think that it would have to be like, if it was really truly some kind of mistake, that you would have to show with possibly years of effort and, like, just showing by example that, like, you do love her vagina and you worship it and whatever. Like, but what I'm guessing, the way that this is worded, I would venture a guess that this couple is not having a lot of sex, and this guy is probably not very into her vagina. And it just comes back to, like, yeah, why are you, why are you in this situation? What is the point? What did you hope to achieve by saying this? Why would you want to say this and then, like, be in a relationship with someone where you've, like, ruined your sexual energy probably forever? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you get out of it? Unless, like, he just doesn't want to be the one to break up and he wants her to do it.
Yeah, this one's bad. It's real bad. Let's move on to the next one. My husband didn't want me to go to a concert because of COVID. I told him that I would put the tickets up for sale, and if no one bought them, I was going to go. He made a fake account and bought the tickets. I found out right before the concert, made him transfer me the tickets, and went. Xander, can they come back from this
I gotta
COVID concert?
Before I get into it, I gotta say, like, props to the husband for the ingenuity and the gall behind this one.
Fake account.
Like, hey, this reminds me of absolute one of the more horrible things that half of my friend group did to me and my roommate in college sophomore year. Like, so we went to college somewhere where it was really obscenely hot for like the first month or two when the semester started back up, and then it got back to like a normal temperature. And my roommate and I decided to buy like kind of like a portable AC unit, and we were bidding on one on eBay, and we like had it. No one else was bidding. Like, we basically had it locked up at like a reasonable price. And then 2 seconds before the auction closed, someone jumped in and bought it for like $20 extra, with like 2 seconds left. So we had like no chance to counter. And it turned out it was the rest of our friends in the next dorm room over that put the bid in. And I mean, they bought it and they used it themselves. We ended up buying another one that just didn't work, and it was a piece of shit. And yeah, that was super, super mean. So kind of like that. Anyways, looping back to this one, I kind of call foul on both of them. This is an interesting situation because it's bringing us back to the pandemic era where different people had different ideas of what was safe, what was okay, what type of risk was okay to put other people at, and whatnot. And also, obviously I'm acknowledging this is like a hindsight 2020 situation where, like, looking back at the pandemic, we may have different views of like how we would have acted had we known what we know now or whatever. But it sounds like what I read in this one is like one member of the couple was more hesitant about being comfortable with COVID exposure.
Yeah, he didn't want her to go. I'm assuming because it's a safety issue, like not wanting to be exposed, being scared of the virus or whatever. And then the other partner, is more comfortable with going out and doing things or doesn't care or whatever. And I can imagine that was challenging. I know in our relationship, we were kind of in general agreement about like what we were both comfortable with, and we talked extensively about what we would be comfortable with, so that if situations like this came up, we kind of had a game plan. So it sounds like I kind of put a flag on both of them for it sounds like they clearly had not had those type of discussions or had kind of ground rules or like respect for each other in terms of honoring the other's desires for safety. I don't know. I think that this is something that you can come back from. I think it's, of course we don't want to be, deceitful and like the whole fake account thing. But I agree with you that like, yeah, this is bringing us back to a time when people had very different perspectives about safety. And I wonder what the conversation was between the two of them. Like, I don't know the gender of the person who sent in this question, but like, was the original sender, like, were they willing to listen to their husband? Like, if the husband was saying, like, please, like, I'm really uncomfortable with this, or like, I'm worried for my own safety, and then this person was like, well, I mean, I'm just going to, if nobody buys them, I'm going to go anyways. Like, were they considering their husband's perspective at all? And if they weren't, like, then you're kind of in the wrong here too. It's not just the husband who is being naughty here.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's kind of, if safety is the goal and you're like willing to honor your partner's safety, it's weird. It's like they're willing to honor their partner's safety a little, like, okay, fine, I'll put him up, but I will only honor your safety if someone buys them. So what you're saying is like the cost of those tickets is more important, or like, the money that you spend is more important than your partner's safety or health. So yeah, I mean, the going behind their back to buy the tickets that's problematic as well. But it's like,
it is problematic.
I feel like both of these people just really acted out against each other, and they kind of both need to take responsibility for their parts and move on. They can totally move on together.
I think you just say, look, it was a crazy time. We all did crazy things. Like, we were both a little bit in the wrong here. let's just let this one go and, promise to be more truthful with each other going forward, and promise to like be more of a team going forward too, and like really considering each other's needs and desires.
Yeah. I mean, I think the takeaway from this, the way that you move forward is you guys both need to come to an understanding of like, okay, should we get into a situation like this again? Like, how do we value each other's safety or each other's health or whatever? And coming to an agreement of, okay, like, yes, okay, your health is more important to me than a $100 concert ticket or whatever the cost of the ticket is. I kind of want to know how much those tickets cost now. Are we talking like an $800 Taylor Swift ticket, or
it's like a $25 community concert?
Yeah, like $20 cover. I just like bought it in advance. Next up, oh God, another one. I'm still like cringing as a man. Said he wouldn't want to be with me if I became overweight.
Oh, this one is another bad one. Okay, so I think 100% without a doubt, like this is just a cruel comment to make. It's fat shaming. It's mean spirited. It's not in alignment with this like, idea of loving our partner for like the spirit and the soul that they are, regardless of how the meat sack that we are all encased in changes over the course of time. So I think this is crappy. I think that this man has really internalized all the bullshit that we get taught, especially, I don't know, again, the gender here of this person. I'm going to assume probably that it was a woman, because weight issues just come up so much more with women than they do with men. But to be fair, they come up with people of all genders. But I think that, this husband or boyfriend or whatever he is, like, has internalized some of that bullshit about like, we're supposed to be thin and that's the most desirable type of thing. I will say, I'm going to put on my throwing someone a bone hat over here. I don't know what that hat looks like.
All right. Yeah. What's your bone hat, girl?
You know what this made me think of? It made me think of like, this is a very stereotypical woman thing to do, of like kind of testing our partner. Like, well, would you still love me if I was a worm?
Yeah. How did this come up? We need to know how this came up, because this reeks of it being a leading question.
Yes. Would it be something like, oh, well, if I woke up tomorrow and I was 400 pounds heavier, would you still love me? Like, it feels like maybe there's a possibility that there was like a little bit of a trap here, and the guy kind of fell into it, and then the partner got all upset, and the guy was like, wait, no, I didn't mean it. I thought we were just like playing this game kind of thing. So if it's in that kind of context, then I think that you could come back from this. I don't think like, either way, how this was said, it really does come down to like how this was said.
Or how it was asked and then answered.
Yeah. Like, what was the tone behind it? Because
did he come right out and say it like unprovoked? Like, it's like, oh, by the way, if you gain X number of pounds, I'm out.
Yeah, if it was presented in like a manipulative way of like, these are the conditions for me being with you, if it's accompanied by any sort of like shaming of like, you need to eat less or you need to exercise more, that kind of thing, like that's a hard no, red flag, get out of there. But if it was done more in a circumstance of like it being a little bit of a test, and if it was done in a circumstance, so if it was more in like the test thing, I think that this is something they could work through. Some couples therapy could really help. I also think like there is people have the tendency to equate being overweight with being unhealthy. And I want to be super clear in saying like, that is not a correct correlation. Like, we both believe in health at any size. We do not believe that skinnier is healthier and heavier is, less healthy. Not at all. But I think a lot of people do think that way. And we've been brainwashed by our diet culture society to believe that way. And so I think a lot of times people hear like, oh, well, if I became overweight, and what they think of in their heads is, oh, that means my partner would like maybe get depressed and they would stop taking care of themselves and they would never like move their bodies. They'd just lie on the couch all day and like eat things that are bad for them and like feel really bad about themselves. So if this guy was thinking of it in that context of like, you got depressed and like weren't taking care of yourself, then I would put that more in the category of like, you can move on from it. Let's get some therapy and unpack your diet culture BS. Because again, I just want to be like super clear. Like, I'm not saying that's the only reason people gain weight, or that people who are in larger bodies don't take care of themselves or are depressed. Like, not making that connection at all. But if this man was making that connection, that's my throwing him a bone thing here.
So like outside of the situation where it was a leading question that she kind of set him up for, I guess regardless, in any situation, I feel like it's not particularly useful to make definitive statements like that in advance of something actually happening. Like, if you do this, I will 100% leave. Because it's like, yeah, right now you might think that, but you haven't lived that situation yet. And I think that, I feel like that we have a lot of things that we think are deal breakers, and hell, they probably are most of the time. But if you make definitive statements like that, you can also kind of end up like feeling like you're locking yourself into making certain decisions or behaving in a certain way, or it ends up kind of being manipulative towards your partner, and they feel like they are not allowed to do a certain thing or whatever, and that causes a lot of grief. And I think the reality is that it's like, okay, yeah, even if in his mind he's, just thinking like, oh God, if my partner gained X number of pounds, I couldn't be with them. It doesn't do him any good to tell his partner that. And he gets to make that decision if and when the time comes. It's like, there's no point in saying that in advance, or, any type of thing. If this happens 5 years from now, like, we're done. Who cares? Like, just wait until that thing, if and when that happens. If it doesn't happen, you never need to think about it. You never need to worry about it.
Yeah, it's just not worthwhile to go down that road. Okay, here's the next one. Xander, can this couple come back from this? My family wasn't able to afford to come to our destination wedding, and now my husband hates them.
Rude.
What's rude?
I mean, well, it's rude to hate the family because they couldn't afford to come. It's rude that maybe you didn't offer to help them financially if clearly you could afford to have a destination wedding, because I know that can be expensive. Or, I guess maybe sometimes people have destination weddings because they actually end up being less expensive, or you want fewer people to come and therefore it ends up being less expensive for you. But I think if you are going to have a wedding, it is important, or if you are going to have a wedding and if you want all the parents to come, then it is important to plan a wedding that is feasible for everyone to come to without bankrupting them. About coming back from it, I think that they can come back from this if the husband who hates them can decide not to hate them, or maybe have some understanding for, oh, okay, I have some responsibility for making a decision that kind of cut them out of being able to come or being able to afford to come. And it's, maybe he makes some apologies if he's, maybe said some things.
Yeah, I just think that, look, weddings are tough. I do not envy being in that situation of like really wanting to have a destination wedding and that being your dream. And I'm assuming you really wanted your family to be able to be there as well. And like having to decide between like, do we do the wedding that we always wanted, or do we do something that our family can be at? But I do agree with you that like at the end of the day, if you wanted your family to be there and you knew they weren't going to be able to afford it, it's not like they were like, oh, we just didn't feel like coming. Like they couldn't afford to go. So I think it is partially on you that you made this decision and you didn't offer to help or to like get creative and help them like fundraise money in some way, so that they could come. Like, so I do think there's there's a good chunk of responsibility on the couple, and that sucks and it's hard, but I think it's really unreasonable of the husband to just be like furious at the family when it sounds like they knew well in advance that like the family was not going to be able to come. So I think the husband needs to say like, look, it was a tough situation. We really had to make a tough decision, but like, I understand that the reason they didn't come was because of finances, and I take partial responsibility for choosing a wedding that knowing that they weren't going to be able to come to.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of here is like if the husband doesn't agree with their justification for it, like if it was like, oh, well, like, you're saying that you can't afford it, but really you just didn't want to come to this location, or I don't know, they had different definitions of affordability or something like that. But honestly, it sounds like the husband, it has some resentment towards this family about something that's probably a bit more than that, and it's just using the wedding as sort of a catch-all for trying to drive a wedge in there.
And I think as the other spouse, the person who like wrote this in, I think you do have a right to tell your partner, like, look, I love you. You're my family. I love my family too. They're my family. Like, and I need you guys to at least be civil towards each other. I don't need you to love them, to be best friends forever, but like, I need you to be civil and polite and respectful and be able to like share space with them, especially since this wasn't like nobody murdered anybody here, So I think you have a right to say that. And if your husband like refuses to be involved in your family, then I guess it just depends how close with your family you are. Like for some people, it might be like, well, it sucks, but like I'm going to just spend time with my family solo. But I mean, like for me, that would be a deal breaker.
Yeah.
If you refuse to have any sort of relationship with my family, I would say like, I don't know. I can't come back from that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's, what Vanessa suggested in, having that conversation of like, hey, what happened, but I need you to be on civil terms with them. I think you could pair that with if you can't, like, I'm not sure I can be in a marriage long term with someone that is incapable of being civil with my parents. I mean, adding that extra layer of just being really clear that like, these are what the stakes are. It's not like, oh, this is my preference. It's like, I can't be in a marriage like this long term. I get that right now you hate them. And I need you to find a way to not hate them.
Yeah.
Basically. All right, our next one. My boyfriend of 7 years thinks I'm cheating. I'm 100% not. He questions everything I say and do lately.
Okay, here's what I would do if I was in this situation. I would sit my boyfriend down and I would say, like, I am not cheating. And I want to understand like what's coming up for you that's making you feel so afraid of this. And I would really try to approach it with compassion, because I think most of us have had the experience of being cheated on, and it is awful, right? And it can lead you to feel paranoid, like in relationships in the future, because you're so worried about this happening again. So I'm guessing the boyfriend has some sort of backstory around this, something, coming up for him, why he thinks that this is happening. So I think he gets one chance here, to like sit down and approach him with compassion and say like, what's going on? I'm curious, like, why is this coming up for you? Why do you think this is happening? If you guys haven't talked about a history of cheating before, like, has this happened to you in the past? Like, I want to understand, how I can give you that assurance that like, that's not what's happening right now. If he continues down this line, then I think that gets into like can't come back from it territory, because it starts to get incredibly manipulative, and it may already be too manipulative and too gaslighty to come back from. Like, we don't know, since we don't have the full story. But if he's using it as a way to like control you, of like, no, you can't go out to do that, or like, let me see your phone right now, or if he's being cruel about it in any way, like calling you any sort of names or making like judgments of you or your sexuality or anything like that, like that's just a hard red flag, like get out of there. But yeah, if otherwise, like, it's more like coming from this place of just like fear and anxiety, he gets that one chance to sit down. And if he can't move past it, then I would end the relationship.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I would look at it like this, like there's sort of this two-pronged thing. The first test is, can he acknowledge or take responsibility for the fact that he is anxious about something? Or is it just purely like, no, you're like, I'm the victim, you're doing this to me. And if it's that one, if he's unable to take any kind of responsibility for, ooh, I'm feeling really scared, I'm feeling really anxious, I've had something like this happen to me in the past and I'm feeling paranoid. If he can take responsibility for him having a part in this, and probably a major part in this, then there's a possibility to come back from it. If he's incapable of that, then done. Like, it's time to go. This is never going to get better. It's only going to get worse. If he can take responsibility for it, then the next question is, okay, can he take responsibility for it? Because, yeah, that's important. But like taking responsibility for it isn't going to solve the problem. It's not going to soothe, your anxiety is not going to be soothed by saying, oh, yeah, I'm anxious. Is he willing to work on it? Is he willing to go to therapy? Individual therapy, not couples therapy. I think a lot of people in this, like, he might be like, okay, yeah, let's go to couples therapy to talk about it. But it's like, no, this is an individual issue that he has. So if he can go to therapy on his own to talk about it, if he can, take any other action to, reduce some of that anxiety and show that he can increase his trust in you, et cetera. If you are seeing measurable progress, then yeah, you can come back from it. But I think that, yeah, a lot of people can, you get to that point where you're like, okay, yeah, you're right. I am really anxious about it. But then like nothing ever changes and you just get stuck in this really crappy dynamic for a long time. So I think that, yeah, the important thing is recognizing he needs to make serious progress. That's the only way that you have a chance of this actually going away and getting better. Please don't get stuck in something that just goes on for years and years where it's like acknowledging there's a problem and then doing nothing about it.
Yeah. Okay, next one. This is an interesting one. I found intimate pictures of his ex on his phone. He said he forgot they were there and never looks. Can they come back from this, Xander?
Oh man, this is so tough. I mean, all right, how about I'll make this really simple. Like, I think that yes, they can come back from this if it's just a simple matter of him going, yep, I totally forgot they're there. Look, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Delete, delete, delete. Like, here they are. Here's my phone. You're welcome. You're welcome to look through. You're welcome, okay, for the next day, for the next week, like, you're welcome to ask me any question you want about this, or you're welcome to look through my phone or whatever is going to satisfy you. And then we're done. Then we're done with this. If we're moving on, then like, yeah, I think so. But if there's like squirreliness around that of like, oh no, like, well, like it's my phone, like I don't want to delete them, or like, no, like, not answering questions about like, oh, where else other pictures might be, then I would say it's probably not really the best sign.
I think this is a very comeback from able thing. Like, I think the likelihood is high that he genuinely did forget that they were there and doesn't look at them.
I mean, these days, our phones have so much
There's
junk
so many
on
photos
them,
on my
and so
camera.
many like various like cloud backup things. It's like God knows where certain things are or aren't. Like, I've definitely found things on my phone where I'm like, wait, what? That's from like 6 years ago, from like it, it's been transferred over from like 4 phones, and like what? And how did this even get here?
With if you have these intimate photos of an ex, like you're not consciously thinking in a new relationship, like, okay, we've been together 6 months now and we've said I love you, so I guess now's the time for me to go back and delete all my naughty pictures from my exes. Like, there's not a concrete time that you like think to do that. And especially like, with these photos, we just forget that we have stuff all the time. So I think like, of course there's a chance that he has purposefully kept them and enjoys continuing to look at them. But I think the odds are very high that it was a genuine mistake. I will also say I'm a little bit curious about how this person found the photos.
Yeah.
Did they go snooping? I don't know. But yeah, I think give him the benefit of the doubt, especially if like when you confronted him, he was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize they were there. Let me delete them right away. Like if he was just very straightforward with it, then like honest mistake, just move past it. You can ask yourselves like, is there anything else from our, past life that we want to get rid of? Like, let's just use this as an opportunity now. We can both go through our phones together and like make sure there's nothing else there. But like, end of the day, like we all have pasts, we all have, exes and other experiences that we've had. And like, yes, it's uncomfortable sometimes to know like that your partner was in love with somebody else or had sex with other people, but like, it really doesn't, it's just the reality of life.
Yeah, and you can't delete the memories.
Yeah, you can. Exactly. You're not, you can't tell him like, don't ever think about your ex naked like, ever again.
Yeah, I mean, like
we can't control that.
So he has some pictures. I guarantee you, he has more memories than pictures. I hate to break it to you, but like, he's gonna remember what this partner looked like. He's gonna remember the things that they did together. So yeah, I would just look at it's not like, oh, you're never allowed to ever have any reminder that you had an ex or any picture, but more like, yeah, how did he respond in the moment? Like, was it a genuine, oh God, yeah, like, let's get rid of that. Like, here, do you want to look, if that were me, I'd be like, oh yeah, sure. Like, I have nothing to hide from you. Would you like to look through, what's going to help you feel better about this in this moment?
Unless he's like the husband in the first question who is missing her and his former life with her. But I think like the pictures are really interesting because now that I'm thinking of it, I'm trying to think of like when is the appropriate time to get rid of them? Because if I put us back into the first few months of our relationship when we were like falling in love with each other, like sure, I wouldn't be happy at that time knowing that you were like looking at photos of your ex and like masturbating or something like that. Like that wouldn't feel great to me. But also in those first few months, it's like we didn't know that we were going to be married and together 16 years later. And the idea of like what if what if you had deleted those photos in the first couple of months and then we broke up like a few weeks later and you're like, oh, kind of wish I like had those photos back. They were like nice mementos.
I think this
maybe
is
once you get married, it's like that's when you got to delete them. But like when is the exact right time that you're like, I have to get rid of? Let's make it even more complicated. Think about like, what if it was a piece of jewelry that an ex had bought you? There's nothing explicit about it, and it's not that you're like, I don't know, like, yeah, I don't think we need to like pretend that we never had a life before we met our partner or get rid of everything that reminds us of a past partner or a past part of our lives. Obviously, it's different if you're like actively thinking about like, oh, I miss my ex and oh, these memories were so amazing and oh, I want to look at those pictures again. Like, obviously that's different. But I just think like with the pictures in particular, it's just funny to think about like when is the exact right time to get rid of those.
Yeah, really, if you think about it, it's like that nowadays, like I haven't really thought about this because, the last time I was in a relationship was before the smartphone era where it was so easy to be taking pictures and sending pictures. So, but like it does sound like
I don't have any naughty pictures of an ex. I never did.
I did have a few. And for me, honestly,
did you delete them?
I did delete them. Well, this was like, delete them off of like a desktop computer or no, it was a big bulky laptop, but there was no cloud backup of anything. And for me, it was a relationship, I ended a relationship and I didn't feel very good. It was like those pictures didn't feel good to look at. They were like, it was kind of like, it's like a reminder of a time that I don't feel very good about. I'm not very happy with that relationship looking back on it. So for me, it was like simple, like, yeah, I'm getting rid of these. Like this is a memento that I don't want to have. But I think if that's not the situation, like maybe when you're breaking up with someone these days, it's important to talk about, hey, like for me, if I'd sent you a ton of naughty pictures and we were breaking up, I feel like it's kind of on me to be like, hey, would you mind deleting all those photos?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because, it's like, what does the ex think of, because you gave the example of like, hey, I didn't know a couple months in that we were going to get married. And what if, we broke up and then I was like, darn, I wanted those pictures. But I think the real question is, what would the ex think about that? Like, is the ex like, oh yeah, like hope you're jacking off to my nudes or like, probably not. Like most, when you break up, like most people are like, yeah, let's like not be doing that. I think
I might be flattered. Those nudes were just so good. Those memories were so good. They just can't get me out of their minds. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Well, we've really done justice to this one, I think.
We sure have. I think we need to move on to the next one.
Okay, next one. When your partner states that they want to end the relationship when they are angry, but once they cool down, they say it was a mistake and they didn't mean it.
Okay, this is another one where I think you get one or two rounds of this. Like, I want to be realistic. When we're in conflict, like most of us have had bad fights and most of us have said things in the heat of the moment that we really, wish we didn't have said. We tried to take back like afterwards. Like that is just a human thing that we do. So I wouldn't break up with somebody if they did this once or twice. I would sit down with them in a calm time and I would say, I understand that we're going to get into conflict. I understand that we are going to sometimes say things to each other that we don't mean. And I also think it's really important that we have boundaries around what we say to each other, even in conflict. And so things like threatening to leave the relationship, calling each other really bad names, swearing at each other, any sort of like threatening each other, like those things are just off the table. So I want us to make a commitment to each other that no matter how upset we get, we are not going to say those things. And I'm just listing like a couple random boundaries that I think would be great for any couple to have. Yours may be different, but I would like really lay out very clearly, these are our boundaries during conflict. And then if your partner continues to do that going forward, that's just getting into very manipulative territory. So I would reconsider the relationship and really reconsider whether you could come back from it if your partner continued to do that. But I think just have that one conversation.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that conversation and then see what happens, because I think that when this type of thing happens on an ongoing basis, I would imagine that it's likely it's not intentional. It's that in the heat of the moment, like it implies like a person is really struggling with emotional regulation, like bordering on it being a prop. Like you are not able to emotionally regulate in the way that, in a healthy way. And you are, saying things that are saying hurtful and definitive things that, someone who might be able to regulate emotionally more skillfully in that moment would not say. And so I would say it's effectively like if you are unable to regulate in those moments and you're like, oh God, I'm done with you. Like not effectively. I would say like you actually, this is like an anger management issue. And the anger is coming out, in sort of a vindictive or like manipulative breakup type of way. It's not like calling you names or whatever. I don't know what else is going on in this situation, but I think that, if it's an ongoing thing and they're not able to recognize that it's a problem, or feel like, oh yeah, no, I'm cooled down, I didn't mean that, like, then yeah, that's a sign that they are, have a sort of an undiagnosed anger management issue. And if they can take some responsibility for, oh, okay, like this is, I'm realizing this is not something that happens normally in relationships, is something that's happening to me. I'm feeling out of control. Can they get some help to address that? Because I think, as a psychologist, wouldn't you say this is an addressable issue with therapy?
Yeah.
So if they're willing to do that, then great, you can absolutely move on from this. But no, I would say if this is an ongoing, like long-term thing that's hanging over you, don't be in a relationship like that. It's not healthy.
Okay, Xander, another interesting one. My boyfriend texts other women, but he says it's just for entertainment, in quotes. He says he just wants to feel wanted by people other than me.
Run. That's all I have to say. I'm out.
That's all you have to say.
It's a no for me, dog.
It's a no for me, dog, too. Yeah, there are so many red flags in this. Like,
I mean, sorry,
so many red flags.
The only exception is if you are in a non-monogamous arrangement. Assuming you are in a monogamous arrangement, just run, get the fuck out. This is not the. There are so many red flags and alarm bells here. If this is some alternate arrangement, some non-monogamy going on here, then
I think if they were in a non-monogamous relationship, the person would not have sent this in.
I think that too. But who knows? That one about the if you gain weight, blah blah blah. Like I would think if someone led the person into that question, maybe you wouldn't send that question in, but who knows? They sent it in. We people like to cherry pick sometimes. We like to pick and choose what we share. So yeah, if it's something, if this is actually okay in your arrangement, then go for it. But otherwise, no.
Yeah.
All right. I think we made it to our last one, Vanessa, which is, he told me love is a strong word and wouldn't say he loves me, but he tolerates me. Wow. Bro.
Why are these all from men, first of all? Okay, I know why they are all from men, because we have a primarily female audience over on Instagram, but men, what? Like,
bro, why are you in a relationship?
What are you doing?
Maybe relationships are just not for you.
We have to be fair, though. You have said your fair share of boneheaded things. I feel like there's just a little screw that's missing in male brains somehow that just like you guys don't understand sometimes how things sound when they come out. But you've never said anything remotely close to this. This is really bad. Love is a strong word. The only time this is acceptable is if you've been dating like a couple of months and you haven't said I love you yet. But even then, why are you dating somebody who just tolerates you?
Yeah, I mean, like, tolerating is a pretty low bar. I tolerate most people. Like, pretty much everybody that I know that I continue to be around, I tolerate. If I don't tolerate people, then they're not an active part of my life. So I tolerate everybody who's actively in my life. So it's like not a very high bar. Like by this person's standards, like you could probably be with anybody.
I know. We're giggling about this one a little bit, but like at the end of the day, this is just, it's a cruel thing to say to somebody that you care about. And I'm so sorry.
Do you care?
Well, presumably you're like in a relationship with. But I'm really very sorry to the person who sent this in that you are in a relationship with somebody who is telling you that they just tolerate you, because you are worthy of so much more than that.
You are worthy of love.
You're worthy of love, and you're worthy of a partner who's going to be kind to you and not say these like offhanded, cruel things to you. This is another one where I just like, I can't fathom a circumstance where the partner would be trying to convey something meaningful or valuable. Like, this is just mean. It's just mean, and you deserve so much more than that. So this one's just like Xander responded to the last one. Run, get out of there. I promise you there is somebody in the world who is going to tell you that they more than tolerate you, that they love you. All right, well, that is it for round 2 of Can We Come Back From This? Thank you so much for sending in your submissions. And we would love to hear from you on Instagram. We are at Vanessa and Xander. If you're not following us there already, come follow us there. Let us know, should we do a part 3 of Can We Come Back From This? Do you disagree with any of our hot takes on any of these situations?
Yeah, what would you have done different? What would you say different?
If you sent in any of these, do you want to flesh them out with more details of the story so we can get a better picture of what was going on? Do you have your own Can We Come Back From This? Like, just come tell us all the things, pop into our DMs, slide into our DMs. I don't know what pop into our DMs is. Slide right into our DMs. We would love to connect with you over there.
All right, and that's it for today's episode of Pillow Talks. Thank you so much for listening. Join us again next week when we talk about grief and sex.